Hello.
Hi, welcome back to the third day of Manifesting Made Simple. Today we're going to talk about the 7-pillar manifesting formula. So I'm really excited to share this with you, and I'll recap a little bit of what we talked about in the last 2 trainings. But if you're watching this and you haven't seen the first 2 trainings, you can go ahead and just scroll down and you'll see trainings 1 and 2. Training 1 is all about mindfulness, which is one of the tools that you can use to help cultivate more awareness, which is actually pillar number 1 for the manifesting formula. And on day 2, I talked completely about mindset and shifting between shifting into a more positive mindset, a more abundant mindset, which obviously also supports the manifesting process, and went a lot into like the science behind how our inner reality creates our outer reality, not just on a metaphysical, spiritual, energetic level, but also on a neurological level, based on how you rewire your brain by using these tools such as mindfulness and some of the techniques that I shared in the previous videos to actually help you tap into the parts of your brain that are associated with positivity, optimism, better decision making, happiness, joy, compassion, empathy, self-awareness, self-compassion. So the list goes on. And also, in addition to that, obviously these tools and techniques also help lower your cortisol levels, help boost your immunity, your physical health. So overall, regardless of what you're trying to manifest, or if you're just trying to live a more holistic lifestyle that's balanced in body, mind, and spirit, then I would encourage you to go back and watch training 1 and 2. But you don't have to do that before you watch this one. I'll sort of tie in what we learned a little bit in the first 2 videos as we talk about the 7-pillar process today. So you don't have to watch those 2 before you watch this one. You can just go ahead and follow along today, but definitely go back and watch the other 2 videos because there's lots of information in those that I'm just not going to be able to get to today. I'm very conscious of your time and mine, and I'm actually catching a flight later today, so I'm going to keep it to, about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to do a Q&A at the end. Thank you, Jamie, for joining. Go ahead and when you join, type in the comments below what area of the world you're in. I'd love to hear it. We've had people from all over, from Australia, from Canada, from New York, from Arizona, just all over the place, and I always like to hear that. From Ohio, I know for sure as well. So share where you're from, say hello, and if you're watching this replay, which is highly likely, and you're not, and you have questions or comments about the material, feel free to post your comments below, because regardless of the fact that I'm not live anymore, I'm still monitoring this chat box, the comment box below. So go ahead and post your questions and I'll still get to them, okay? So there will be a Q&A at the end, so if you have questions, post your questions as you think of them. You might want to grab a notepad or a note pen and a pen so you can take notes on this and on the 7-pillar process. And then, yeah, and I'll get to your questions at the end. So just going to give another second here while I go ahead and share this with my Facebook group as well simultaneously. So just give me just 1 second. And that'll give everybody a chance to hop on that's able to make it live today. And also, if you were with us the last 2 trainings, I know some of you have shown, even if you're not making it live today, but you catch the replay and you happen to be here for the last 2 trainings, I'd love to hear, still love to hear your feedback on what you thought about the mindset training yesterday, and if you were able to practice any of those, mindset hacks that I shared with you to help you, get into a more positive mindset, or which one resonated with you the most, and if you were able to practice the mindfulness techniques again from the previous day. So I know some of you have shown up to multiple days, and I'm excited to hear that. So I'm excited to get your feedback. Almost done. For anybody that's interested, the name of my group that I'm actually sharing this in is called High Vibe Manifesting Women. So if that interests you, the material that you're hearing today, and you want to join that, just go to the search box in Facebook and type in High Vibe Manifesting Women and go ahead and hit join, because I'm always doing free trainings, not always on my Facebook page. Some of them are exclusive just to the High Vibe Manifesting Women. In there I also do a daily challenge where you get a mini holistic challenge to sort of prompt you to go inward or work on any little area, whether it's body, mind, spirit. They're all just little things to help you check in on a daily basis. I also share a tarot reading on Tuesdays and share Wellness Wednesday videos as well in there. So you're going to get lots of extra trainings if you join the High Vibe Manifesting Women's Facebook group. So just about done here. Perfect. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi Shannon, thanks for joining. Thank you. You've been showing up all 3 days. I love it. Were you able to practice your meditation or any of the mindfulness techniques again yesterday? I'd be curious to hear about that. So go ahead and let me know in the chat box. And let me just make sure there's no one else trying to join the group just before, so in case they want to catch the training. So let me make sure. Perfect, we're good. Okay, so we're gonna get started, and again, grab a pen if you're interested, if you want, so you can take notes on this. I'm going to give you my 7-pillar manifesting formula, which really will help you manifest at a higher level, more quickly and easily, with ease, and eliminate a lot of the frustration that's associated with just trying to manifest things in your life that are important to you. There's definitely a science behind it. There's spiritual laws that support it. I'm going to share what those spiritual laws are as we move through the 7-pillar formula. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments box below. We're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing I wanted to sort of address here is one of my first aha moments when I started this process, and that was that everything is energy. So I want you to wrap your head around that concept, that everything is energy. Right now, your cells on a very, if you drill down under a microscope at a subatomic level, you are cells vibrating, you are energy vibrating. And so what does that mean? That means if everything's energy, everything is connected. You can't draw a line and have energy on one side of the line divided with energy on the other side of the line, right? Energy is always changing shapes, changing form, but it's still energy. And what does that mean? It means you're connected. So you're already connected to everything out there that you want in your life, and start to wrap your head around that larger perspective, because it makes it more believable when you're trying to manifest things that they're not separate from you really in actuality. They're just, you may not have them in your physical, tangible experience yet, but you have to be able to trust that they're on its way to you. And we're going to dive into that a little bit, but I wanted you to just grasp that concept up front as we move through the 7-pillar process. And because we are energy, the other thing I wanted you to grasp is that we are vibrating and we have a frequency, okay? So this is proven. We have electrical currents going through our body. We are energy, and because of that, we have a frequency, and what that frequency is going to attract what it is that you're putting out there. So everything is based on energy and frequency, and if you can start to understand that, then you'll start to be able to work with some of these spiritual laws from a place that's believable. And you have to be able to believe this process. You have to be able to know that this process and trust this process is working in order for it to actually work. But the one myth that I wanted to clear up is you are manifesting all the time. This isn't something that you have to try to do. You're manifesting whether you know it or not right now. So it's a matter of, are you manifesting on purpose and intentionally something that's high vibe into your experience, or are you manifesting by default, by something, by whatever vibration you happen to be giving off at the moment? And when you start to take conscious control of this creation process by owning your vibration and by consciously moving it up the vibrational scale, you're going to see a lot more abundance in all areas of your life. And it could be an abundance of health, abundance of finance, abundance of relationships, abundance of love, whatever it is that resonates with you. Abundance comes in all forms, and it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So we're not talking about money when we say abundance. We're talking about a life of abundance, of everything that you could ever imagine that would fill your heart with joy. That's what abundance is. And so I just wanted you to take a moment to think about those concepts for a second and understand that you are always manifesting, regardless of whether or not you're trying to on purpose and consciously. And so my goal today is to help you manifest consciously with intention, with a laser focus and clarity, and not by default. And when I say default, what I mean when you're not consciously working on this process, you're manifesting by an accumulation of all of your belief systems, your inner feelings, your thoughts and emotions, and your vibration is a reflection of those things. So that's why it's very important, the mindfulness techniques that I talked about in training 1 and the mindset hacks that I talked about in training 2, because you have to get on board with that, because that's going to create what your default vibration is how well you work on yourself, your inner game, and how much self-discipline you apply to this process with consistency. So consistency is key. So with that, I just wanted to leave that with you going into this training, so maybe you can just open up a little bit more to some concepts that are maybe new and familiar to you, and just run with that and see what resonates with you throughout the training. So great, you're getting ready to do your meditation and some journaling now. Perfect, Shannon. That's awesome that you're getting into a routine. I love that. That's the challenge. That's the work, is getting into a routine that supports your highest good. Everything else will take care of itself from that point forward. You don't have to figure everything out 5 moves ahead of what you're trying to do with your life. You just have to focus on the baby steps that give you a strong foundation. And so that's what I'm hoping to do today with the 7-pillar formula. Okay, so pillar 1 is focused awareness. And we talked about this in the previous training, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this one, because you already know that from if you watched video 1 and 2. But focused awareness is the foundation, because you can't change or create anything new in your life if you're not aware of it first, right? First, you have to become aware of it. So a lot of times people will walk around not really bringing awareness to what it is that they want, or they're walking around on autopilot, just sort of at the mercy of their belief systems and feelings and knee-jerk reactions that they have, without consciously taking a moment to pause, stop, and say, okay, is this really the direction that I want to go? And so awareness is the first, it's the foundation. Awareness brings you into the present moment, and it is necessary to have awareness to foster any kind of positive growth in your life. And so that's why pillar 1 is the first pillar of the manifesting formula. And one of the ways you cultivate awareness is through meditation and mindfulness techniques that I shared in video 1. So without that, you're defaulting to whatever it is that you're conditioned to default to, your previous perceptions and beliefs and thoughts and things like that. And some of them may be serving you, but I would guess a lot of them are not, just because we live in a society where even if you had the perfect childhood and the perfect upbringing, and everybody said the perfect things, and everybody that you grew up with was completely enlightened beings in the best case scenario, you still live in a society that's based on, scarcity and lack and competition in general. And so we still pick up on those subconscious beliefs, and it limits our thinking, and it limits what we believe could be possible for ourselves. So the first step is awareness, and mindfulness is the tool and the technique that you use to cultivate that awareness. And like I stated before, awareness then breeds pillar 2. And you may have picked up on this on one of my previous trainings this week, but pillar 2 is clarity. So what I want to say about clarity today is clarity, what do you get clear on, right? Clarity, when you're trying to get clear, your only focus should be getting clear on what you want and why you want it. And it's real important to leave all of the other who, what, when, and how it's going to happen up to the universe. So you really just have to focus on what it is that you want and why you want it, and get clear on that. Does anybody remember this from the previous training? I think Shannon, you were on that. Jamie, I think, is brand new for this training. But if this is making sense to you or resonating with you throughout the training, go ahead and let me know. At the end, I'm going to ask you what your favorite pillar is and which one you think you resonate with the most, on what you, what it is that you want to manifest in your life, which one resonates with you the most. But when you're working with clarity, you want to get clear on what your ultimate desire is. So you want to get clear on what and why. And when I say why, I mean getting down to your core desire. And your core desire is basically the essence of why you want what you want. So it could be money, it could be a relationship, it could be a new car, it could be a better health, it could be a lot of things. But what is the essence of your core desire? So that's your why. So your core desire may be more money, and I'll use that because that's a popular one. Or it may be a new relationship. But what does that new money mean to you? What is the core desire of that money for you? What does that mean? So some people it may mean security. Other people it may mean the feeling of success. Other people it may mean just comfort in general. And so we talked about this when we talked about creating your mantra for your meditation technique. And I want you to just sort of get clear on that. So if you already know what your core desire is, go ahead and share it in the chat box below in the comments section. So if there's one thing you really want to manifest in your life, take some time to find out what that core desire is and sort of reverse engineer it into the feeling essence of what that means to you, because that's ultimately what you're reaching for. Ultimately, all these other things out there in the physical world that we're trying to reach for, we think will bring us joy and happiness or peace or ease or freedom. And those are the essences of what we're really trying to attract into our life. And that's the embodiment of, that's the feeling that you have to embody in order to attract those things into your life. So take a moment to think about that, and we're going to move on. If you have any questions, post them below. I talk really fast, so if you need me to clarify something, just go ahead and let me know, and I'll go back and I'll shed some more light on one of these pillars if you have any questions. So perfect, Shannon. Glad you're resonating with the information. So let's see here. The third pillar, we talked about this as well. Yesterday a little bit, so I'll go on to it in a little more detail, and that is the power of intention. So this is the law of intention that we're working with, and the intention is basically your underlying motivation or driving force or action aligning your willpower. So it's like the motor in the car that moves you forward. And I'm going to share that what I feel is your highest intention is one that's going to be heart-centered versus ego-centered. So what that means is when it's a heart-centered intention, it's always in the highest and greatest good for all involved. When you move forward with those intentions, doors will open up and opportunities will open up. You're aligning with some of the highest principles in the universe, some of the highest laws in the universe, and that's when you will start to see magic happen. So I would always recommend making your intentions from the highest and greatest good and checking in with yourself on the intentions behind some of the things that you do, because your intentions need to be pure, and they need to be clean intentions, and they need to be of the highest value. They need to be aligned with your soul and with your spirit and not with your ego. So for example, let's say you were someone that was donating to charity. That sounds like a really good thing to do. Someone can donate to charity with the intention that they just want to do a lot of good, and they want to pay it forward, and they want to provide an abundance of support to other people. That's a very high heart-centered intention. Someone else can donate the same amount of money or more to the same charity, but they could be coming from an ego standpoint where they're donating money because they want to look good in the community, or they want to form new business partnerships for their business solely for the purpose to get ahead and maybe beat out some of their competition. Not saying working on your business and having a good business model is a problem, but you can see that the action can be exactly the same, but the intentions behind it can be very ego-driven or can be very heart-centered. And that's where it gets very technical, and that's where only you know the intention behind some of your actions. You can also do an action that is not nice, or what is perceived to be nice, or what is perceived to be acceptable, but if you had heart-centered intentions behind it, that's what the universe is paying attention to. There's a difference between having heart-centeredness or having, let's say, the intention to be malicious or things like that. And I'm not saying anybody, if you're on this call right now or on this video training, I'm sure that your intentions are not malicious, but I'm saying that's the opposite end of the spectrum, right? And so it's good to always check in with your intentions and find out exactly where you are on that spectrum. So intentions are always from the highest and greatest good for all involved. And the other thing I wanted to say for intentions, when you're planting your intentions of what it is that you want to manifest, after you've gotten clear on your core desire, and the essence of that is always to leave it up to the this or something better. Because as human beings, we tend to limit ourselves up front because we can't see the big picture up front. And I don't believe that we're supposed to, because if we saw the big picture of everything on how our life is supposed to be laid out, we would miss a lot of our lessons. And if we actually manifested everything that we wanted overnight, we would miss a lot of the lessons that we're learning in the process. And so I shared this a little bit the other day. I pictured as a big puzzle piece, and imagine you're working on a little piece of the puzzle over in one corner, and the universe has a big picture of the puzzle, right? And the universe can see the big picture on how all the pieces are going to come together. You are just working on this little corner over here, and you have no idea how this piece is going to connect with this piece. It looks nothing like it. You have no idea how it's ever going to fit together. And you don't have to. You just have to know how to build one piece on top of the next. And since the universe has such a bigger picture and vantage point than you do, you could easily be trying to focus on something that actually is limiting your highest and greatest good if you don't release that and allow the universe to fill in the gaps for you and fill in the blanks for you in your highest and greatest good. So you have to be willing to release a little bit of how things are going to show up for you. And so I always leave that open by saying, when I start doing my affirmations based, and my intentions, that it's always this or something better. And what does that do is it allows the universe to step in. It's intending that the universe is stepping in for you to help out, and it releases the ego, because the ego loves control. Okay, the ego loves to control the outcome, and the whole point of this manifesting process, to really manifest at the highest level and what's best for you, is you really want to be able to release that ego control on the outcome. So that's the third pillar, which is the pillar of third pillar in the 7-pillar process, which is intention. So if anybody has any questions so far, feel free to drop them below. I am going to do a Q&A in this at the end, but you have to be willing and open to see how things are going to transpire from you, or transpire for you, and be flexible in that approach. And so that's the other thing that you definitely want to be able to plant with your intentions. So hi Daniela, how are you? It's awesome to see you here. Hi Nate. Perfect. I think Danielle is traveling right now in Ireland. Is that right? Is that where you're tuning in from? Go ahead and post your comments below where you're watching from. And that's Daniela was actually one of the people that I trained in my first yoga certification in Tulum, Mexico. So that's really exciting to have you on here, Daniela. That's awesome. Thank you for joining. Okay, so we're going to move on to the fourth pillar, which is going to get a little bit more into the action-oriented aspects of the pillar of the manifesting process. And this one is visualizing and feeling the essence. So we talked about this when we talked about clarity. When you're getting clear on what you want and why you want it, that why you want it is really the core essence of your desire, the feeling essence of what it is that you actually want to manifest. Once you have that core essence and you move through the intention phase, you want to be able to start to visualize and feel the essence of that, so it starts to emanate through your being. And I'm going to share with you why this is so important. The universe is responding to your vibration, which is what we talked about at the very beginning of this training. It's responding to the feeling essence, which is what comprises your vibration and your frequency. And so the awesome thing about this is that we touched on this a little bit in the second training regarding mindset, is that basically the higher your feelings, the higher your vibration. But you can tap into that through the visualization process, and the universe doesn't know the difference, and neither does your brain, and neither does your mind. The same areas of your brain will fire if you are imagining success or abundance, or you are imagining a loving relationship, or you are imagining and feeling the essence of what that core desire is. So this is where the tricky part comes in, because a lot of times we're trying to manifest things that have not shown up in our physical reality, and as a human being, that can get a little frustrating for us. And so in order to circumvent that a little bit, it's not cheating or anything, but it sort of feels like it is, because you can tap into the feeling vibration of what you want before you have it. And that's key, because you actually have to feel it first before it can show up for you. You have to feel abundant before you can have abundance show up. You have to feel loving and lovable before you can have a real loving relationship show up. You have to feel healthy and confident and empowered, or whatever that essence is for you, before you can have a healthy body. So that's why getting to the essence, the core feeling, the core essence of your desire is very important. But then what do you do with it? You want to take it into the visualization process, especially if your physical reality is reflecting back to you something that does not go along with what you're trying to manifest. So basically, if you're trying to manifest more abundance in your life, but you're faced in a reality where you just don't have a lot of that physical abundance that you might be looking for, you can surely imagine it. That's something that is a gateway to your intuition. It's a gateway to your feeling body. It's a gateway to activating the parts of your brain that are associated with those optimistic feelings. And it's available to everyone at any time. You can close your eyes, you can go get cozy and lay on the couch or sit in meditation and start to feel the essence and visualize your ideal lifestyle, or your ideal health, or your ideal relationship, or whatever the case may be. And so visualizing and feeling the essence is the way for you to get out of your own way, basically, because when you're not seeing something in your physical reality, it doesn't match up with what you want, you're giving off a vibration that's going to keep repelling what you want. So you have to be willing to get in front of the vibration by cultivating it from the inside out before it actually shows up in your experience. So this is, this helps you, like I said, get out of your current circumstances, whatever those may be, if they happen to be displeasing to you. So I would definitely recommend, this is one of the takeaways for today. It's one of the very big action-oriented techniques that you can use to start manifesting, is recapping. Okay, you gain awareness, you cultivate awareness through mindfulness techniques and meditation and things like that I shared in the other videos. Pillar 2, you get clear on what you want and why you want it. You release the how, the when, the who, and where it's going to show up. You get clear on the essence of your core desire, of what it is that you really want. What's the feeling you're going to get from your manifestation? And that's what you need to emanate from the inside out. And then you plant that positive intention that you're coming from the highest and greatest good of all involved, that you're coming from heart-centered intentions, and you release the ego from this process in doing so. And then you start to visualize that essence and start to feel it in your body, and you start to work with the creative visualization process. So that's the first 4 pillars. We're almost there. There's only a 7-pillar formula, but these are all based on spiritual laws and principles. This is nothing new. This has been taught for thousands of years in various different ways, from various different people in various different forms. This is just a way for me to condense this into something that's practical, because I believe in living a spiritually based life based on spiritual principles, but being able to put them into practical use that people can use in their day-to-day life that makes sense and that helps them get from point A to point B as quickly and easily as possible. So, does anybody have any questions so far? Go ahead and post them below. And again, if you do know the essence of what it is you're trying to manifest in your life, that feeling essence, that core, the essence of your core desire, go ahead and share it below. It's going to be different for everybody based on where you're at and what you're working on, but that's something to get clear on. So whether it's during this video, if you want to share it or not, when this video is over, I would say take your journal out and your pen and start to get clear on this process. You can take notes on the 7-pillar process and work through this formula and do it consistently for a day, 2 days, get up to a week doing it, and watch what happens. It'll be amazing, I promise. So we're going to move on to the 5th pillar, and I'm just glancing up here at my notes to make sure I don't miss anything, because I talk really fast and I want to make sure that I get all my points in. So, and I want to try to keep this. We're going to be on here for about another 10 minutes, and then we'll do a Q&A. Aunt Janice is live. Thanks for joining. This is amazing. Hi, Pamela. Thank you for joining. That's awesome. Thank you. Hi, Chuck. I'll be seeing you later, I'm sure. I'm actually flying into my Ohio this weekend, so I'll be catching a flight in a little bit. And so we're going to keep this training short and sweet, but very informative. Okay, perfect. So we're going to move into pillar 5, which is perceiving it to be true now. So you need to affirm in your mind that what you want is already true. Now, there's a caveat to this that I want to share, because that can get a lot of people mixed up in their vibration, because a lot of times you'll feel like you're lying to yourself if you don't have the abundance that you want, or the relationship that you want, or whatever it is that you want yet, but you're trying to affirm that you do. And this is where I want to say, sometimes affirmations can be doing more harm than good if they're coming from a lackful mindset. So, for example, if you, and I just keep using the example of money because it's very popular. It's the one thing that I hear about the most when people join my group on what they want to try to manifest more of. So if you are doing an affirmation, for example, that I am abundant and money flows to me easily, but you have a belief or a feeling that you're really trying to compensate for the lack of that money, and you're trying to like put a band-aid over the fear-based energy of not having the money that you want, and that's sort of like you're trying to muscle through the affirmation and you don't believe it, you could actually be doing more harm than good, because what the universe is sending back to you again is what I shared earlier, your vibration, the essence of your feeling, of what you're feeling. And so you could actually be doing more harm than good with some of your affirmations if they're coming from a lackful mindset, or if they're coming from a place of, you know, let's say you're trying to compare yourself to someone else and you want something that they have, and you're trying to manifest that because you want to measure up in some way to somebody else. That comparison vibration is a vibration of lack, and that vibration is what's emanating out. So you could be walking around as a beacon of energy vibration that's sending out to you, to the universe, and responding back in more things that give you the reason to feel lack. So you got to pay attention to what it is that you're actually feeling at your core when you're doing this. But so you want to perceive it to be true, right? And you want to perceive it to be true now in the present moment. So how do you do that if some of the things that are showing up for you are displeasing? Because it's really easy to do that when everything's working well for you, right? So the work comes in, the challenge comes in when you're doing it, because when you're doing it you're doing it despite the fact that things are not exactly the way they're supposed to be, and that's where the real work and challenge comes in. So one technique that I want to share with you is that if you can't imagine or affirm that something is true for you now, because you feel like phony saying it, or you feel fake saying it, or you feel like, you know, you're still having that negative vibration, I want you to go back to what I shared in this original video, that everything is energy. Everything is connected because everything is energy, because you can't draw a line between energy. Energy exists, it transfers, it changes form, but it doesn't go away. And so with that larger perspective, you can trust that everything already exists in this universe that you want to attract to yourself. And if you can just work yourself into the concept or the perception that that everything is on its way to you, even though if it hasn't shown up yet. So maybe you can't say, I affirm that I am abundant now and that love is on its way to me, or that I am lovable, whatever it is for you. But you can say, I am everything is on its way to me that I need. It's all coming to me in perfect time and order. And if you can wrap your head around that, it sort of eases the vibration a little bit. It sort of takes the edge off, because now you can believe that. You can believe that the relationship is there, the money exists somewhere, the car exists somewhere, the love that you want, it's already out there. It's just on its way to you. So to soften that vibration a little bit, you want to believe that it's on its way to you, not necessarily that you have it right now. If that trips you up, if it doesn't trip you up, and you can affirm that you are something, or you are abundant and you are loving and you are these things right now, the core essence of what it is you truly want to manifest, then go with that. But if it does trip you up a little bit, then this is just a little mind hack that you can use to sort of shift your perception into something that's more believable for you, so you can get into the feeling of what it is, because that's the most important thing. You have to feel it before it's going to show up. So another Ohioan. I love it, Aubrey. Thank you for joining. Perfect. I love it. Perfect. Okay, thanks for joining. If anybody has any questions, again, go ahead and drop them in the comments below, because I'll be taking questions at the end, and we're almost done because I just shared the 5th pillar. So we're going to talk about the 6th pillar of manifesting from the 7-pillar formula. So there's just 2 left, and this is taking inspired action. Because once you get to the point where you can start to believe what is on its way to you. And you can perceive it to be true either right now for you or it's on its way to you. And you've done the inner work to get clear on what it is you truly desire and the essence behind that desire. And you've been doing the creative visualization process to really embody that feeling and to use that imagination as your gateway to being able to emanate this vibration from you despite your current circumstances. It gets you out of your own way and what you're currently experiencing. Then you want to be able to take inspired action because synchronicities will start to show up. It's a magical formula. It's a magical process. This is, again, all based on spiritual laws. But when you plant that powerful intention, and it is in the highest and greatest good, and you're removing ego, and you're moving into a heart-centered space, you are aligning with your soul and your higher self, and doors will open for you, and you will start to see synchronicities of things popping up for you that are just perfect. Too good to be true. Perfect timing. It's exactly what you were needing. It just resonates with you so well. You acknowledge that it's a synchronicity. You have like this awareness of it as soon as it happens. Then you have to be willing to take action on it. And that's where a lot of people will get tripped up because taking action on something new induces fear. Not the kind of fear that's threatening your survival, but it induces the kind of fear, it's the ego-driven emotional fear. So you have to go back to what we talked about in training 2 with your mindset and the brain connection that comes into all this. Your brain is wired to keep you safe at all times. That's its sole purpose. And anything outside of your comfort zone is going to create fear. So whether it's taking a new job, leaving a relationship and entering a new one, whether it, whatever the case may be, if you're leaving your comfort zone, it's going to induce fear. And so in order to take action, you have to, one of the biggest mistakes is waiting. People will wait until they're confident in what they have to take action on. And that's sort of like, I feel like the universe will be testing at this point in order for you to demonstrate your commitment to this process, and you have to be able to take a leap of faith, and you have to be able to step into the fear, and you do that by tapping into your courage, not confidence. And so I just want to stress that confidence comes later when you practice things over and over again. So if you're being drawn to maybe step up your game and start public speaking for your business, or you're being drawn to leave one job and go to another, or maybe take on a new role at a career that's going to ask more and demand more of your skills, there's doubt and worry and procrastination. Those are all natural things that are going to pop up, and that's the ego. You just have to be able to recognize that and then take a courageous action through it. And once you do that, it's like you open up a whole nother gateway of energy that's going to be coming to you. The universe is sort of like saying to okay, she's got this, she's moving forward. She may not have it all figured out yet, but she is willing to take action on what her soul is craving or desiring. So you have to be willing to step in with courage when you're faced with fear. And a lot of people, some people, will let fear stall them. And unfortunately, there's no way around it. We talked a lot about this. There's only through it. And we talked a little bit about this on the mindset training in video 2. So by the way, if you're watching this for the first time, if you scroll below on the Facebook page, there's training 1, which is all about mastering mindfulness for manifesting, which is a really important technique that I feel everybody should be utilizing if you want to just have a balanced lifestyle. And then training 2 is all about the mindset associated with manifesting, because I feel that is an element that is completely left out. I am equal parts woo-woo spiritual and equal parts, based in science. And so I like to bridge the gap between wisdom, ancient wisdoms, and modern science. And you really have to look at what, understand where fear is coming from in order to step into that. And so, and step through that with courage. So taking inspired action is an imperative part of this process. And you'll know it's an inspired action because you will be drawn to it. It'll get you excited. And at the same time, it might scare the shit out of you. So you have to recognize that for what it is. I refer to it as a sacred action, and you're going to be presented with sacred actions over and over again as you progress down this kind of path, just to continue to grow, because every time you're growing, you're changing. Anytime you create change, you're going to have fear induced. But the more that you do it, the less the fear is going to paralyze you. And so part of the whole process that I shared yesterday too is you just have to recognize the fear, bringing attention to the fear and or your self-doubt or worry automatically, scientifically proven in your brain, lessens its control over you. So bringing awareness to it, which is why mindfulness is so important, is key. It's shining a light on your fear and understanding where it comes from. It's just there to protect you, to keep you safe. And so your brain's really good at doing that. So you just have to acknowledge it, say thank you, and do it anyway. Acknowledge if it's something that's going to be good for you, if it's something that excites you, and just recognize that what that is. A good analogy my second yoga teacher shared was fear is sort of like being in a haunted Halloween house where everything's really scary at night. When the lights are off and you're going through a haunted Halloween house, this is sort of perfect timing because we're coming up on Halloween. But once you turn the lights on, it's not scary anymore. You see the working, you see behind the scenes of everything, right? It's no longer scary. So you just have to be able to shine a light on it, and it lessens its effect on you. So that's the sixth pillar, inspired action. And then we're gonna move into the final and seventh pillar. We touched on this a little bit, but I really have to drive the seventh pillar home because it's a huge piece of the puzzle in the manifesting process that allows you to, again, remove ego. And with doing that, you're going to remove frustration, and it's going to be a much more pleasant experience. So this is surrendering in full faith is the seventh pillar. And in order to do that, you have to have trust in this process. And when I say surrender, I mean an emotional surrender. So that's where you release the how, the what, the when, and the who, and how everything's going to show up for you. Again, big puzzle piece. I shared this earlier in the video. You have a bird's eye view of this little piece of the puzzle. The universe has the big picture. You don't see how the puzzle pieces are connecting. You just have to know that they do eventually, and that everything's working out for you, and you have to release all of the details. The ego wants to control the outcome, and the ego gets very frustrated when you can't control the outcome. So if you're feeling frustration during the manifesting process or any version of that, then you're clearly leading with your ego, and you have to let go. Letting go, letting go, letting go. And as soon as you think you've let go, you have to let go some more, because the ego is completely going to throw up all the stops when you start on a soul-centered, higher path like this. The ego wants to keep you in the same spot, and it's not going to want you to change. And the closer you get towards your goals, the more you may see the ego try to self-sabotage you, which is some of the blocks that I go into helping you uncover during some of my one-on-one coaching, if that's something that you're interested in. Because, you know, when you start on a new path, the ego will throw up blocks, and it can come very sneaky. You're not going to necessarily recognize it. It's going to be hidden in some of your behaviors. It's going to be hidden in, procrastination. It's going to be hidden in stalling and perfectionism and not moving forward and taking action, inspired action on that one thing that you know would move the needle for you, that gets you fired up, that gets you excited, but yet you have fear around. So we talk a lot about that in my coaching programs, but you have to be willing to surrender in full faith. And that sounds easier said than done if you're new to this process. It gets easier and easier and easier as you work with the 7-pillar formula, and you start to see, you start to have experiential knowledge in this process, because listening to me is one thing, reading it in a book is another thing. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you. But actually experiencing it for yourself is something totally different. So you focus on your why, and you detach from the outcome. And this is something that they even teach in sales. Many of the top sales coaching programs in the world will teach you to detach from the outcome. Why? Because when you're not detached from the outcome, you have this neediness energy. Neediness is not an abundant mindset. Neediness is not, it's coming from a place of lack. So when you detach from the outcome, maybe you can appreciate this if you're in business, you run your own business, you're in sales, you detach from the outcome, you're offering a totally different, confident, empowered vibration, and that's what you're going to start attracting. And so when you're not detached from the outcome, you are emotionally tied to it, and that's just not going to work. So surrendering in full faith is always a huge part of the process, and letting go. So again, that's an emotional surrender. You have to have complete trust in the process, in yourself, and in the universe. And so to do that, to have that experiential knowledge, I would encourage you to test this process. And so if you're new to trying to manifest, just manifest something small for yourself that you are not emotionally attached to. So it can be something really small. And once you see it show up, and maybe it takes an hour to show up, maybe it takes a day to show up, maybe it takes 2 days to show up, but it gives you the process. This helps you learn how to manifest, and gives you faith in the process. And then once you start to get good at it, you can start to manifest more or things that are going to have a bigger impact on your life. So, for example, I manifested this necklace. I lost this necklace about a year and a half ago, and I just thought about it the other day and thought, okay, I'd like to have that necklace again. Please bring it to me. And that's what my intention was. I'm not emotionally attached to it if I didn't get it. So this is a good example. And then within 24 hours of asking for that, I went to my cousin's house, and she's like, you know what? I have your Namaste necklace. And I was like, you do not. She said, yeah, I do. And she gave it to me, and it was within 24 hours of asking for it. Now that seems silly, but it's just my little way of knowing, hey, I'm dialed in here. I understand this process. It works. I trust it. I feel good about it. And now I can work on bigger things and manifesting bigger things in my life. The same thing happened this weekend. I was at a farm-to-table dinner party with a friend of mine, and that morning I put in my journal, I would like to attract an unexpected gift. And then I released it. I let it go. I didn't, it's just sort of fun to play with this energy. And that night, I never win raffles, but there was a raffle there, and I shouldn't say I never win raffles. That's putting it out to the universe, actually. But of course, the first person that was drawn was me, and I won, and I went up and got it, and it just says, a gift to you was on the card. And it was, to a med spa out here in Arizona, but it just said, a big gift to you, which is exactly what I asked for. The universe has an amazing way of attracting to you what you're looking for. What you're seeking is really seeking you. That's a very popular quote you may have heard from Rumi, one of my favorites, but you have to get out of your own way in order to allow it. And when you don't have the needy vibration, you're opening yourself up to accepting it and allowing it. You're in receptive mode. And manifesting is all about being in receptive mode. It's not about being in force mode. And so you have to be willing to drop the ego and not thwart your energy in that way, and be in a more receptive, relaxed mode, knowing that it's coming to you. And again, that gets easier with practice. And once you see it work for you, then it opens doors, because then you have that extra little boost of confidence, and you're able to just trust in it, and that makes it easier to surrender. So I just wanted to go ahead and see if there's any questions before I log off here, because I'm actually jumping on another training here before I have to catch a flight. So everybody, thank you for joining. If you had any questions, I would love to hear them. Hi, Melissa. Jamie. Oh, thank you, Jamie. Thank you. So many people joined today. I love it. Anybody have any questions before I log off? I love your comments, Jamie. That's funny. Oh. So I wanted to leave you with, if you have one takeaway from this manifesting process. First, I'd love to hear also which pillar resonated with you the most. Like if you were working through this process, go ahead and share your comments below. Which one resonates with you that you feel that you could start working with today to start making a shift in what you're manifesting for yourself. For me, it's the creative visualization process and the imagining process. That's what I'm working on a lot lately. And taking the time to do that. And so pillar 4 is really important for me right now that I'm working on. So if you have a pillar that you resonated with, I'd love to hear it. And again, if you're watching this replay, please post your questions and comments. I'll still get to them even though I'm not live, because I still get notifications when you post your questions. And again, part 1 and part 2 of this training is on my Facebook page. You can access those just scrolling down below. Pillar 2, clarity. Okay, I love that. Perfect. Let me get to there. Hi, Heather. Thank you for joining. So pillar 2, clarity, that getting clear on what you want and clear on what you desire. That's awesome. Yeah, that's very important. And again, that involves getting to the essence of what it is that you want to desire, what it is you're desiring. So you sort of reverse engineer your manifestation and you get it dialed down to the core feeling or essence of what you want, because we're all looking for a lot of the same things. We're just looking for it in different things in our, physical manifestations, but in the end we're looking for happiness, joy, love, freedom, ease, flexibility, a feeling of success, a feeling of support. All of these feelings, these essences of your desire, that's what you want to try to emanate in the creative visualization process. That's what you want to focus on. That's how you have to feel before your manifestations will show up. Eventually you'll get to a point in this process where you know it's coming. You're not wondering, and you're sort of in a state of excited anticipation, because you can just, it's so about to just pop into your experience. You can just feel it, and that's when that's when you're on it, and it's on its way to you. You'll get to that place of where you know it, and it feels like you know it. Hi Heather. So yeah, any other questions? I'm going to go ahead and log off, but I'll still take other questions if you have them after this training. So I wanted to thank everybody for joining me live. That's awesome. And I wanted to remind you that if you share this video, I'm giving out 3 passes to the Habit Lab, 1 for each day, because there's 3 trainings. You can find them all on my Facebook page. And the Habit Lab is a 12-week mindfulness meditation course that allows you to create a daily mindfulness routine every single morning, because again, it's about not only cultivating pillar 1, which is awareness, and pillar 2, clarity. We also work with pillar 3, intention, and we also work with basically all the pillars, because you're also taking inspired action in the course, and you're surrendering, and you're also you're working through a lot of your blocks. So a lot of the ego obstacles that are going to pop up when you start to create change in your life, like fear that I was talking about, the emotional ego-driven fear, and the limited belief systems, are all included in that course. And that's why I feel a lot of these, like when you try to set new goals, like New Year's resolutions, but you don't have a foundation to actually support the change that you're about to embark on, right? So that's why a mindfulness routine is key. A journaling and a self-reflective process is key, because it not only rewires your brain to support this new change, it also helps you recognize the fear-based tendencies or the ego obstacles that are going to pop up. So we work on that in the mindfulness course, the Habit Lab as well. And I also have guided meditations in there, fire releasing ceremonies, a special yoga nidra practice, which gets you into theta brainwave state where you can plant positive intentions. So it's loaded with good stuff. And if you're interested in that, I'll post a link after this live video and you can go visit that and see what that's all about. But you can actually win a free pass by sharing this video on your personal wall. So go ahead and do that if that interests you. And if anybody wants to take this a step further, because I know some people really resonate with this kind of stuff, I do work with people on a one-on-one basis, on a coaching basis, and I also have semi-private small group coaching programs, and you can access all of that on my website. It's at sarah-rose.net, and I'll post a link to that as well. So I hope this video finds you well, and hope you have a beautiful Thursday. Namaste.